Hello and welcome along to the start of a brand new season from this FM21 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. We're back for season 7 today and we start with a transfer special followed by our first game of the season away at Aston Villa. It's our first full Premier League season after joining Southampton midway through the last, and we're joined, as you can see on the home screen just above my head, by Derby County, our former club. So a big match to come later in the season. But firstly, if you are looking forward to this one and seeing what our Director of Football's done this summer, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM21 content from 2 long-term stories. We're trying to make big progress over in the Builder Nation with Bangor City, and here we look ahead nervously to our first Premier League season. And the reason I say nervously is because of the transfer window. Now, I thought when we moved to the Premier League, the riches, the enjoyment, we were going to have a great time. We have had what is bordering on a mass exodus, and we're not really seeing any of the money from it. So I can't actually blame the Director of Football for what's happening, but I'm very unhappy about it. The training standards has improved, but we still haven't got all those coaches in. If we go and have a look at the staff, there's still gaps in terms of the recruitment team. There were gaps in the coaching team, but they've been replaced with loads of performance analysis. So that's something that's a problem too. And we just aren't really making that progress on or off the pitch. So I'm going to start with the transfers. We'll go to the transfer centre. And you can see firstly, there's no ins that are coming in at the moment. There's not much wage bill available by Premier League standards. And there's only 14 million of transfer budget left. More worryingly, despite the finances of the Premier League, apparently next season's budget is only going to be 12 million. So there's a lot of concern on the financial side here, which I didn't expect to see. But as a result of all of that, we've seen a bit of a mass exodus, and despite making a huge profit, Matt Crocker in the window, our Director of Football, he's still only got 14 million, and that is a massive problem. So let's go and have a look at what's been done. There was one great bit of news to start it, and it has been followed by a lot of mediocrity. So we start with what happened at the start of June. Just as the window opened, I got my favourite news, and it actually happened before the window. So the Director of Football must have really targeted this guy after our disappointment in January. On the 1st of June, I don't know if there was maybe a clause expiring, a release clause, because it looks like that's what he's been bought for. Neri Campes, does anyone remember the name? The 19-year-old Brazilian wonder kid has joined us as a left winger with 3-star ability, 5-star potential. So Matt Crocker, after that point, couldn't fail to me. Now, he hasn't done much else, which doesn't help, but he's done what he can. And this guy is one improvement to our first 11. So we've got to be positive about that. Although, how long before he gets sold on realistically? Hasn't got a release clause for generally, only if we get relegated. But a very exciting start to the window and a bargain at 12.5 million. The other one that came in, and this was interesting because we saw 2 scout reports. Nicholas Stark, who we had at Gladbach in last year's head coach, he's now a 31-year-old central defender. Now he's very good, he's going to start for us. He's a good personality, he's got good ability, and he's just about better than Bednarek and will play alongside Salisu. But the other one that was being looked at, who we had scout reports for, was Tosin, the current Fulham central defender, who was rated exactly the same, was a free agent and wanted less of a wage. And he's only 28. I don't understand that. Because that's the difference between the head coach and between when you're managing transfers. You would go and look for the cheaper budget option. And that would have saved 5 million to add to 15 that we've got left over. And he could have bought a 20 million player in. But as it is, we're not there. In terms of the outs though, there were some early ones too. Alexander Jankovic, who we'd relegated to the 23s, he's not a great player. He's gone for a few 100,000. He'll do okay in Switzerland, but not good enough for the Premier League. And then another one of those quality youngsters sold off. From the youth intake, young Portuguese defender Francisco Diaz. Only 1-star ability, but he had decent potential. He's been sold on for 600 grand as well. Now, on to this year, you can see it is outs galore in terms of big signings. And then all we're getting in really is loans and youngsters, which is a big concern. And the fact actually this screen doesn't concern me. What really worries me is there were big money offers accepted for Travis, the centre midfielder, for Gineppo, the right winger, who both rejected the clubs they were offered to. There's also players like Nathan Patterson, who's transfer listed by request for a lack of football. Guido Rodriguez is transfer listed because of this stuff that he's not happy with. And we've still got Ant Folwell unhappy. So they've actually been trying a real exodus this summer. And the fact if we'd lost Gineppo and Travis as well, we'd be in big trouble. As it is though, we did lose a few more. So Ophir Cohen was one of our good young goalkeepers. Really quality keeper, now worth £6 million. Sold for less than £1 million. In fact, sold for £500,000 to Arsenal. I don't understand it. Another top young goalkeeper, Christopher George, £8 million to Burnley. We're losing our best youngsters to mid-table teams. It can't be a good sign. And as a result, Christopher George is on his bike. So 2 good young goalkeepers lost, and more importantly, for us in the grand scheme of the head coach, 2 big sales too. Ekanit Panya has gone to Fenerbahce, £20 million up front, rising to 30. The Thai international did a decent job for us, and he's on his bike. I'm not quite sure where the money from that transfer's gone. We're getting 25% of it, which isn't enough really. But I guess with him being replaced by Campes, it makes sense to an extent. But the other one, Andy Pelmard, a good central defender, sort of sold in placement for Stark. But he's 5 years younger, he's better, he can play both fullback roles comfortably. Don't really get it again, but he's gone off to Krasnodar. And again, the fact these sorts of clubs are outbidding us and outpaying us for wages is a worry at this stage of the save. In terms of ins, I mean, the bottom 3 are barely worth looking at. Gartland, we knew about, is an awful young right back. Alfie Brooks is a new third choice keeper who's not as good as the ones we sold. Certainly not as good as Ophir Cohen, who we lost for £500,000. And Sam Rivas from Atlanta United is an okay young American striker, not going to set the world alight. But the only first team signing later in pre-season was Ruben Vargas, on loan from Wolves for £500,000. He's a decent winger, can play off both sides, just gives us a backup option really, and replaces the likes of Panya who we've lost. 3-star ability, 3-star potential, and he'll do a job for us. I think he'll be okay, but certainly not the box office fireworks we were looking for. So, a few decent signings, but the worrying side is the players that are getting accepted to move out. And it's not just the ones that have left who we can live with, it's the fact that there's offers being accepted galore for other players. And with the likes of Folwell, Simicast, Pulja, Ward-Prowse, Gineppo still, Haidara, Salisu, Walker-Peters all wanted, Vegas even in the reserves, are we going to be able to keep hold of the bulk of our squad? I'm not convinced. We have, of course, been joined by Derby County. I've no idea what they've been doing in the window, and if they've gone big, it will probably annoy me. They haven't, to be fair. So, in terms of ins, in fact they did in June, they went for some massive signings. So who have we got there? We know they lost Whittaker in January, but they've brought in 2 players from Fulham, so some really decent ones. A young striker who can't finish, and a very good young right back. They've got a centre-half, an experienced one from Newcastle, who looks decent. They obviously went down last year. They've got a free agent from Stoke who's not great. They've brought in Will Hughes. They've brought in Rico Henry. They've brought in a young midfielder from Birmingham. And they've brought Jamal Lascelles on a free. So they've really given it a go, despite losing some experienced players. I would argue Derby have put a better effort in than us. And they've also got Aitor Karanka in charge. Didn't expect to see that, to be fair. Did better at Birmingham than he has in real life in this series. Did well at Norwich and has now joined Derby. So I'm intrigued to see what happens this season. I'm a little bit pessimistic about us. And I'm right to be, because the pre-season preview has us between 16th and 18th, joint with Leeds and promoted Cardiff. West Brom and Derby the only sides below that. But there's a real lack of investment here. We've got 27 million in the bank, but the club's losing a lot of money. I'm not quite sure how. There are some real poor goings on here. I'm wondering if they may be playing back loans. There's no loan repayments there. Everything else is fairly low. It is just player wages. So what is it that's costing them so much money? I don't really understand. The youth setup's not a massive outgoing. There's nothing else that stands out. I guess in terms of TV revenue, that's covering the wages. So is it just transfer expenditure? They did spend a lot of money last summer. If I remember rightly, it was like 100 million or so. Yeah, so they bought in Panya, Odysseys, Volkov, George, who they sold again this summer, Bernardo, Patterson, George Dobson was January. But yeah, it's 100 million quid's worth. But even so, they made a profit the year before. And there's just something that doesn't stack up here. I'm not quite sure about it. But we're going to go and get into the first day of the season. The manager support the club atmosphere much better than it was. Just Dan Folwell, who's a little unhappy at present. But otherwise, a tactical change is what I'm going for. And I'm hoping it will give us an opportunity. I know that the pre-season preview suggests we're one of the worst teams in the league. And we probably have to reflect that to an extent, but I'm still going for it a bit more. We're going to get the opposition instructions on, and I'm going to show you what I've gone for today. It is a 4-2-3-1. Gone is the holding midfielder, and in with the number 10. We haven't really got many changes we can make. Stark is in at centre-half for debut, as is Campay's on the left wing. We haven't got much else, because we haven't signed really anyone. So on the bench is Vargas, that's the 3 first-team signings. Obviously from last year's team, Bednarek drops to the bench, Pulga, who was the holding midfielder, and also of course the left winger Panya, who's gone now. Evgen moves into central midfield, or the number 10 position I should say, and we'll see how it works out. We might drop Folwell into the number 10 and go for someone like Kovnacki, but he's injured today, so we can't try that. What that means is we've gone for a more positive mentality, we're trying to keep the ball, and we're trying to do a bit like we've done with Bangor, albeit with a very different formation in the Builder Nation. Get on the front foot, try and shock teams. They don't expect you to go all guns blazing, and let's see if it works. So we're going to play through the lines, we're going to play wide, we're going to try and overlap, and then Ward-Prowse will try and drop into that back three. So that's the tactical plan. This is the 11. Odyssey continues in goal. We've got Bernardo over Simicas at left back, with Walker-Peters, who's ended his unhappiness at right back. Stark in alongside Salisu at centre-half. Ward-Prowse, Haidara the midfielders. Evgen the number 10. And then Gineppo and Campais, the Brazilian wonder kid, are the wingers playing off Ant Folwell. Into the game we go. It's Aston Villa v Southampton. Let me know in the comments what you think of the transfers and how you think we're going to get on this season. The signs don't look particularly good. We're probably going to need a miracle. And this is probably where the comparisons start to come. Aston Villa, with Freddie Ljungberg in charge, have got Kenny Tete, which perhaps you can understand as maybe we'll be a bit more confident. Scott McKenna, both good Premier League players, but not exceptional. Douglas Luiz still there though. Jack Grealish still the skipper. Jared Bowen playing in the number 10 role. They've got some real quality in that side. John McGinn's still there on the bench. There's a few of the originals about. And what seem to be the right personalities in there. So we're going to try and get the boys motivated. It hasn't worked at all, bar Bednarek on the bench. And we need something today. We need a positive start to the season. Because if we start to struggle early on, we're going to be in a spot of bother. Let's go and get into the first half though. It's all packed out at Villa Park. And we need a big performance and a big start to the Premier League season. But early on, it's defending we're doing. As Ostigar plays in the middle to Douglas Luiz, to Story. And I just wonder if going positive so early will be a mistake. As Campais, the Brazilian wonder kid, gets it. Finds Ant Folwell. The other wonder kid skins 2 players. That is absolutely sublime. Now, we know Folwell is probably leaving in the next few weeks. He's been made a promise by the director of football. He's unhappy at the club. But if he could just stay and link up with Campais all season, that could be the thing that saves us and even surprises a few by getting us further up the league. But I'm just making the most of it while it's here, because that's a brilliant goal. And Campais gets it again as Ward-Prowse wins it back. Runs alone, finds Folwell. Is it going to be the same again? It's a good block by Scott McKenna. But those two, after 14 minutes, have already linked up to great effect twice. As Ward-Prowse takes the corner. Into the front post, Campais loses out. Ward-Prowse gets it again. Chance to go into the box unopposed here. Deflects off the defender. And this has been a really encouraging start. I know it's reliant on 2 front players, one of whom is probably going to be off imminently, but it's been brilliant to watch nonetheless, as the corner's headed away as far as Jack Grealish. Can we get him before he gets down the line? Finds Stockbridge. Good attacking play here from Villa. They've thrown men forward on the counter, and Bernardo gets in with a good tackle. Excellent start, 16 minutes gone, and it's been a brilliant effort so far from Southampton. Well, I'm a bit concerned we haven't taken our chances, as we're back just before the half-an-hour mark. Gineppo skins the defender from the throw-in and just hits it wide of the post. But look at those stats. Aston Villa, no shots, none on target. We've had 8. And maybe we have surprised them by going attacking. Maybe it has worked a treat. How long it will last, I don't know. But let's be honest, we've still got our frailties defensively, particularly towards the end of last season. And going forward, we haven't been clinical again. As Bowen crosses, Stockbridge puts it wide. Was a good opportunity, albeit not taken. And I've got to think, if we don't take our chances again, are we going to end up relying on 1-0s? We did it for about a month and a half last season, but it's not a long-term route to success. 5 minutes to the break though, we lead 1-0, and I'm a very happy man with that performance. So let's go and talk to the boys, try and get them to keep it up, and hopefully inspire them, get a bit of confidence back into them after that awful finish to last season. as Tete gets the throw-in in. Headed away by Salisu, only as far as Story. He finds Tete. They're keeping it well, and to be fair, Aston Villa will have been given a kick up the backside at half-time. Freddie Ljungberg would have been throwing the teacups. As Tete gets in, it's blocked in. Stockbridge has got a chance. Back to Story. Good save by Odysseys to tip over. Excellent football from Aston Villa. And we look all at sea under pressure there. As the corner's coming in from Jack Grealish. Outswinger to the back post. Asmu misses it. Gotta be a free kick. And we survive, but a good start to the second half for our hosts. Well, here we go. Throwing on the left-hand side. Stockbridge clears it from Evgen. Haidara recycles, though, and finds Stark. And Stockbridge nicks it. That's a poor place to give it away. Oh, Salisu's beaten in the tackle. I thought it was going to be a red. As it is, he's let Asmoon run in alone. And thankfully, Odyssey saves the day again. Now, the benefit of this formation is with half an hour to go, if we need to, we can go more defensive. We can put the holding midfielder back. But do we want to invite the pressure? We might if we get the second. As Amphowell comes down the left, there's 2 men over. But he doesn't look up quick enough. It remains 1-0. And with an hour gone, it's going to be a tense finish. 70 on the clock. We're still holding strong. But Douglas Luiz crosses. Walker-Peters away. Evgen brings it down. We're going to take him off in a moment. Surging through the lines though. No one's going with him. Maybe he's going to do it alone. Nearly a brilliant solo goal. But as it stands, we're 20 remaining. This is where we have to retreat a little. Aston Villa have pushed up significantly, so we've got to take off Gineppo, who's struggling physically. We're going to bring Sergej Volkov on for him, the wonder kid. But otherwise, Evgen's going to be replaced by Pulja, and if he gives away another penalty, like the last episode of last season, he's not going to play for this club again. But we're going to go for Anchorman, nothing more to it. We're going to leave the rest as it is, apart from the fact we're going to stop the overlaps. We're going to put the wing-backs onto defensive duties. And we're just going to try and become a good pass inside. We don't want to go too vigorous. We don't want to get too excited. But we want to keep possession. We don't want to just invite pressure. So we stay positive. We stay on the ball. We've got one more line of defence as an anchor man. Right, 5 minutes to go. We're getting the warning that Ward-Prowse is knackered. And to be fair, he is getting on a bit now. So we're going to bring on Lewis Travers. I know he's naturally a ball winner. But can he be a deep line playmaker? I think for the sake of 5 minutes, he probably can. As we've got a throw on the right with Walker-Peters. Haidara gets it back to him. In that number 10 role, finds Folwell, through ball's intercepted. I'm going to cancel the change because you all know my superstitions now. Whenever you've got a tactical change pending, there's a goal. But will it be at our end? Campace gets it on the left. Into the back post, McKenna heads clear. Falls for Ward-Prowse, who is about to come off. Back to Eric Pulja. Don't give it away. Keeps it for Ward-Prowse. Through ball to Haidara. This is the chance. Haidara straight at the keeper. Should have wrapped it up. Folwell goes back wide to Bernardo. We're still in possession here. We've still got a chance. Ward-Prowse is forced back. He's being pressed. Eric Pulja gets there. Finds Volkov. Out wide to Walker-Peters. And the highlight just sort of peters out. So let's go and make that final change. Ward-Prowse replaced by Travis. And we'll give it a couple of minutes before we go full time wasting and full defensive. Only 3 minutes added on. I've got to do it. We're going to go to a balanced mentality. We are going to... In fact, let's go to the tactics screen. What else can we do? We're going to focus down the wing still. That's fine. We're going to slow it down. We're going to hold our shape when we win the ball. And we're going to drop the line of engagement. We're not going to press their keeper. We're just going to try and hold on. Let's be honest. We're going to be quite reliant on 1-0s this season. And if we can do that from the first day and the first whistle, as we drop our wingers to a 4-1-4-1, I think that's all we can ask. 3 minutes of stoppage time separate us from a brilliant 1-0. And after the troubling end to last season, this would be a brilliant way to silence the critics. Here comes the stoppage time. There's no future highlights. The job is done. What a start to the season, just to bring the confidence back. Campace assist, Folwell goal. Exactly what we wanted. But it looks like our star striker's on his bike soon. You keep telling me not to play a 5'4" striker up front on his own. And he keeps delivering, to be fair. As long as the pressure's not on, Ant Folwell's a superstar. What I've got to worry about is who's going to replace him when he's gone. There we go then. 3 points and a clean sheet to start the Premier League season. We could not be much happier than that. I'm just looking at the sides that struggled last year and the sides that have come up. Burnley lost. They were mid-table last year, but were expected to be in the bottom half. West Brom came up, they lost. Bournemouth lost. There's some positive signs for us. We've just got to keep a few sides below us at all points. However, one of the sides we were tied with in the pre-season preview, Leeds, have got a great result against Chelsea. So one of the problems we've got here is we just don't know what's going to happen. If we lose Folwell, we are relegation candidates. There's no doubt about that. He is our only superstar player. Odysseys was man of the match in that game. We've got to give him that. The second half, he kept us in it. And if we lose a goalkeeper of that quality, we're in trouble. But if I show you the star ratings very quickly, just to give you an understanding. I know they're not perfect, but the judges of character at this level are very good. That's the difference. After Folwell, we've got 5 good Premier League players. We've then got our Brazilian wonder kid. And we've got a good keeper in Odysseys. The rest of the team probably wouldn't get promoted out of the Championship. It would be a good Championship side. So we've got to bear in mind that we are only one transfer away from a disaster. There's clubs like Hertha Berlin and Hoffenheim just sort of swarming around, but he's worth 70 million quid. So even if we get 25% of that from the board, that's going to take our budget up to 30. And then we just need our director of football, as good as he's rated, to find 2 more like Neri Campes. If he can find those sorts of players, I feel confident. If not, we're going to be desperately looking to stay out the relegation zone and get out the club. The board haven't got any loftier expectations. I don't think they have got much ambition. They're disappointed we're not playing attacking football, but what do they expect from us? We've only got one attacker capable of it. We've got to avoid relegation. We're going to try our best to do it. And let's have a look at the schedule to see what sort of position we'll be in next time. We've got Leicester at home next up, then Leeds, then Watford, then Cardiff. I mean, if we're going to do well this season, these first 7 games are crucial. Then we have that tough spell, the likes of Tottenham, United and Chelsea within 5 games. But the first 2 months are so important. So what we're going to do, we're going to come back for transfer deadline day and then we'll show either Watford or Cardiff. I think probably Cardiff because they're expected to be bottom. But we'll judge it based on how we've done at the start of the season and how the other 2 are looking. But if you are looking forward to this season and you did enjoy that gutsy win at Aston Villa, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM21 content from 2 long-term stories. Hopefully we get a bit of magic at the end of the window, but let me know what you think in the comments of the work that's already been done. I'm a little bit concerned, it's safe to say. And if we lose Ant Folwell, it could well be a horror show. You can catch up with all the playlists in the eye above, including our Build a Nation with Bangor City, our live stream series with Dundee United, and the podcast channel which is closing in on 1,000 subscribers. A massive thank you for your support across here, this series, this channel, and over there as well. And I hope to see you next time for a big transfer deadline day at Southampton, and hopefully what will continue to be a good start to the season. I'll see you there.